Hey everyone! So I wanted to do a video today to discuss the assault that happened on me outside the Church of Scientology Testing Center on Hollywood Boulevard, where I was physically attacked not only once, but twice by a Scientology staff member. So I wanted to go on video and set the record straight about what actually happened that night and give you guys a little bit of an update on how I'm doing and where the case stands currently. So basically what happened was it was August 24th, it was a Wednesday, and I was on Hollywood Boulevard with my friends Lauren and Sarah. And Sarah was visiting from New Jersey, so she wanted to do the whole tourist thing and go to the different souvenir shops and go to the different stores on Hollywood Boulevard. So we were doing that for the afternoon when she saw the big Scientology marquee sign, which is this big vertical sign on the side of the testing center on Hollywood Boulevard where they recruit that says Scientology. So she was telling me about how she read Leah Remini's book and how she was basically just like outraged about the different things that she went through. And Sarah's also familiar with my personal story inside the church, so she was kind of curious to walk by and kind of see what this whole Scientology thing was about. So we were walking down Hollywood Boulevard when we approached the testing center, and I don't even kid you not, there was recruiters like every 5 feet. There was a million different what they call body routers, which are the people that bring people into Scientology. And they were all out on the street handing out these movie tickets. So that was one of their recruitment tactics. They give out these tickets that say, admit one, and they go up to people and say, hey, come on in, we're doing a free film screening. Come see a film, come on, get in the cool air conditioning. And that's how they get people to walk into the testing center. And then they end up, seeing like a Dianetics film, and then they end up being regged for a course. And even though they may be from a different country, a different state, because obviously Hollywood's a big tourist destination, what they do is they get people to sign up in LA, and then they usually pawn them off to the org in the person's home state or country. So that was basically what they were doing in terms of recruitment. So wait, let me just tell you, it wasn't just people speaking English that they were recruiting in. They were getting people Spanish, Japanese, Chinese. They were recruiting in anyone because these body routers were multilingual. So they were speaking in the person's native language and just assuming like, okay, that woman may be Chinese. And they go up to her and start speaking in Chinese. And basically these people don't really understand what they're getting themselves into. So it's just such a con on every single level on how they bring people into Scientology. So I was getting upset because they were bringing in people that had like strollers, like these families, and it was, breaking my heart to think that these families may be going into Scientology and a couple years later have their family ripped apart because of the policy of disconnection. So I was really upset, and Lauren and Sarah were creeped out nonetheless by Scientology, so they went off to go to a couple more stores. But I was upset, so I went to my car and I got my protesting sign. And the protesting sign that I use is, "To my loved one in Scientology, call me." And most of you are familiar with what that means and what that sign is. It was a campaign by Phil and Willie Jones, who are good friends of mine, and the sign is aimed at stopping the policy of disconnection and ripping apart families. So I went to get my protesting sign, and I was just peacefully, just like, holding my sign on Hollywood Boulevard, and people were coming up and talking to me and were outraged as well about what was going on in the church and vowed never to go in. And more people were coming up talking to me than to the body routers. And when they went up to the body routers, I may shout out something and say, Scientology is a cult, they took $50,000 from me, or I would just like say something just so the person, could walk away and get out, before having to go inside and have to be recruited and all that sort of thing. So Scientology was getting pretty upset. And they started going up to people that I finished talking to. Like, as the person walked away, they'd go up to them and they'd say stuff like, oh, this guy just was released from the psych hospital. He's not on his psych meds. Don't listen to him. He's crazy. You know how those people are in Hollywood Boulevard. They're insane. Like, don't listen to him. We're here to help people. And, the whole Scientology spiel of, the lies of we're human rights activists and so on and so forth. So they started, you know, approaching others, talking to them about me. Don't listen to his sign. He just failed in Scientology. He didn't make it. We kicked him out of the church. And they started just spewing all these different lies about me just to, you know, discredit me so then they can get those people into the testing center. And whenever someone went in, they would go to me and say, we got another person in, Steve. Your sign's not working. They're not listening to you. Just thinking, like, really? Like, for a while, I was just sitting there with my sign, wasn't even saying anything. So I wasn't really actively diverting their efforts. If someone came up and talked to me, I would give them information. So I was protesting for a while, probably about like an hour or so at this point, and Scientology was still on me. We sold the book, Steve, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just kind of like annoyed. So I'm facing the first assault. I'm facing like this, and I'm facing like Hollywood and Highland, which is, which direction is that? West. So someone's coming from the east side of the street walking this way with a girl. So it was one of the Scientology staff members and one of the girls he was trying to recruit. So they were walking this way, and I can only see them barely the corner of my eye as I'm holding my sign. And all of a sudden, the staff member lines himself up this way. He gets like almost like a running start, and boom, I'm pushed all the way into the wall of the testing center. So I kind of stumble and get a hold of my sign again, and I'm kind of shaken up. Like I'm kind of like, oh, like what happened? Did someone just like whiz by on a skateboard? Like I didn't really put two and two together to know that it was Scientology attacking me until the staff member was right here and goes, ha ha, we got another one in, after he physically assaulted me. Now, I don't know why anyone would walk into the church after witnessing an act of violence like this, but nonetheless, Scientology will go to any extreme on their critics. So I'm kind of shaken up, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what do I do? Like, I'm looking around for the police, because I usually drive up and down Hollywood Boulevard, so it's not usually hard to find a police person, you would think. But I was afraid to call the police at this point because the guards came out, and they were like taking videos and pictures of me as I'm protesting, like being creepy. So other people walking by were like, why are the Scientology guards filming this kid with the protesting sign? Like they didn't understand, and they saw like how creepy they were being. So I don't call the police right away because I didn't want them to send away the guy who hit me. Because if I say I'm calling the police, or they hear me on the phone with the police, then Scientology can say, hey, shuttle him off to his home. Because I didn't know who the staff member was. I just had a visual image in my head of who he was, and I didn't have his name. So there wasn't really much I could do with the police because I didn't know who this guy was at the time. So I said, oh, I'll go to the police, but let me just protest a little bit more because now I'm angry. So again, I'm going up to people and holding my sign and protesting, even though now my shoulder's hurt and I've been like basically physically assaulted. I was body checked into the wall. So like 30 minutes maybe go by at this point. Again, just being aware if the police are coming by and I can flag them down, or if I can do, like, take a picture of the guy who hit me. Like, that's what I'm trying to do. So the guy who hit me ends up walking down the street again with his flyers. And again, I'm just holding my sign. This time I'm facing forward. So I'm facing this way, obviously. So I'm facing forward and I'm holding my sign. And like 3 or 4 minutes later, I would say, the same staff member comes up to me and goes, and he karate chops my arm, like as I'm holding the sign. So of course, like I'm like throwing my sign down because my arm is just like chopped, like it was like a karate board. He just hits me. Again, laughing, ha ha ha, like, you know, so full of himself. Like we're the best, most supreme beings on earth, or whatever they think, right? So that's when I'm like, you know, I had it. So I walk to my car and I drive to the police station, which was kind of nearby. It was a couple streets down. I go to the police station to fill out a police report, and there was nothing they can do in that moment in time because I didn't have a name, I didn't have a picture, I didn't know who the guy was. So they just said, if you spot him or if you come across him, call us up and we will come and we'll arrest him. So I go back in my car and I drive down Hollywood Boulevard just to see, like, maybe he's out there again or something. And he was still handing out his flyers. And at this point it was like 9:30 at night and the assault was happening around 5, 6 o'clock. So he was out there. So I do a quick U-turn, I take a couple photos of him, and I park near the Wax Museum, which is kind of like a block away. And I call the police. I said, I'm by the Wax Museum. Hurry! I spotted the guy who assaulted me twice. Um, he has some sort of thing against me, obviously. And just come. Like, I'm just trying to get the police to come as fast as I could. 10 minutes go by. 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes go by, 40 minutes go by, no word from the police. So I just start driving home. I'm like, screw it. Like, he's probably gonna be out here tomorrow anyways, and then we can get him. But the police finally called at like 53 minutes later, I kid you not, after saying I was physically assaulted. They finally called me and said, hey, are you still around? Thinking like, yeah, like obviously I'm still around. So I drove back to the testing center and I speak to the police. And they were just like, Scientology? Really? Just like, like we effing hate Scientology. We hate dealing with them. We, like we can't believe like what goes on with them. And I'm like, I know, like I used to be a former member. This is what happened to me today, but this is what they used to do to me. And they said, like, why didn't you call the police during any of this? And I had to kind of explain to them, like I was a card-holding member. Like I believed in Scientology. Like I couldn't just pick up the phone and call the cops. Like I was in this mind trap, right? So they were just outraged and they said, don't worry, like we'll get the guy. After I showed them pictures, I described him. They go into the testing center. And I see, like, through the glass, like, I see them walking by, and they, like, a thumbs up at me, like, they were going like this, like, we got the guy. But then they disappear for, like, 40 minutes. So I'm thinking, like, okay, they talked to me, the assault victim, for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, maybe, if that. And they're in there talking to Scientology for a very, very long time. So I'm just wondering, like, what's going on in there? So eventually the police resurface, and they said, hey, look, we saw the footage. Now this is, mind you, after I told them, arrest him. If you see the assault, arrest him. Like on the cameras, because of course they're going to review the security footage. I said, arrest him. Because it was not once, but twice that he hit me. So I just wanted him to pay the price of what he did to me. So they said, we saw the first assault on camera. He admitted to it. He said that he hit you. And he was sorry. I'm like, okay. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Sort of thing. Like, you didn't see the second hit. They're like, yeah, well, the second hit. Oh, you had a second assault? It happened twice? And I'm like, yeah, like, I told you this. Like, it happened twice. Like, the police, like, weren't on it. So they said, oh, like, we didn't really see the second one. It was probably how the camera was positioned. And we'll ask him about the second assault, but we didn't really see it on camera. Like, you don't see a karate chop on camera, really? Like, is it that hard to see? So, they're like, oh, yeah, so we're not going to arrest him. Like, we're just going to go in and we'll just give him, like, a verbal warning sort of thing. And we advise you not to resurface at the testing center just for your own safety. Really? You're not going to do anything? And I said to the police, I said, okay, so if we're on Hollywood Boulevard and someone body checks you into the wall, and that same person later on comes up and violently hits you, and they call the police, you're not going to arrest them? But since it's Scientology or it's a religion and this is a religious worker, maybe you're taking some sort of leeway on this guy? Like, what's going on? So they're like, yeah, well, you have the police report, so if there's any new information or if this happens again, just let us know. Okay, so should I have called you after the first time I was body checked, so then by the second time when he karate chopped me, he would be arrested? It happened twice. And the police were taking absolutely no action. Where they went in angry, upset, like, we're going to arrest this guy. And then the second time they're like, well, they came back and they're like, well, we can't really tell if it was malicious or not. Really? The ha 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 and the smirks and like, we got one on you, and physically committing an act of violence on me and you're not going to do anything to this guy. So I've been upset nonetheless, and I don't really know what to do, like if I should talk to someone higher up in the police. Like this was like 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and I've just been kind of thinking what to do. I've been speaking to a couple lawyers, but nothing's really have surfaced from that. So if anyone has a good legal recommendation for me, please let me know. And yeah, I'm going to try to see what action we can take from here on out. So yeah, thanks for listening to my story. And also check out Tony Ortega's blog. He actually did a write-up on what actually happened, and he has the pictures and the police report, so I'll link that down below. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and subscribe to my channel. Okay, talk to you soon.